Okay, in this section, we're going to be looking at various types of angle relationships. And so the first problem we come to, we've got a diagram here. We've got two lines intersecting. There are various points that are labeled on these lines. And so let's take a look at what they've given us. So they've given us two angles in terms of x, and they're going to ask us to find a third angle. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to locate the two things that they've given us. The two things that they've given us. So they've given us the measure of angle AFE. So let's see where it is. AFE. That's this angle. AFE is this angle. The other one they've given me is the measure of CFD. CFD is this angle. CFD is this angle. So those are the two angles that they've given me, and they're asking me to find the measure of AFE. All right, now let's just stop for a moment and look at the two angles that they have given me. So the two angles that they've given me, they're on opposite sides of intersecting lines. And so remember from the last lesson, these two angles are called vertical angles. They're on opposite sides of intersecting lines. They're vertical angles. And one of the facts that we learned about vertical angles is that they are congruent. They're the same. So these two angles have to be equal in measure. So if this one's 48, this one has to be 48, and so on. All right? Now, when you're looking at these two, remember, the question asked me to find AFE. Well, AFE is given me in terms of x, so if I can find the value of x, I can plug it in here and then find the answer to the question. So I need to be able to find the value of x. And remember from some of the previous lessons, in order to find x, we've got to set up an equation. So we've got to ask ourselves, based on the two that they've given me here, is there an equation that we can set up? Okay, and the answer is yes. Because these two are vertical angles, they should be equal. Meaning this angle is equal to this angle, so I can take this expression, set it equal to this expression, and then that would be my equation. So the correct equation I would want to solve here would be the first one, which is 12x minus 10 equals 8x plus 14. And again, the reason why I can set these equal is because they're vertical, and vertical angles have to be the same. All right? Now I've got an equation that I can solve for x. So remember earlier in this unit, we did a whole lesson on reviewing solving equations. I want all the x's on one side, the regular numbers on the other side. So the 12x will stay put. What's going to join it? 8x will change from plus to minus. And 14 is staying here, it's not moving, and what's going to join it? Minus 10 will change to plus 10. So you want all the regular numbers on one side and all the x's on the other side. If it goes across, it's got to change sign. Now, 12x minus 8x, that's going to leave me with 4x. I can combine those together. And then 14 plus 10 is going to give me 24. And now I'm ready to divide both sides by 4. And that will give me x is equal to 6. All right, now let's stop right here for a minute. Remember, 6 is not your answer. It did not ask me to find the value of x. It asked me to find the value of angle AFE. Well, remember, they've given me this in terms of x, so now I got to take this 6 and plug it back in here, multiply it times 12, and then subtract 10. Well, 6 times 12 is 72. 72 minus 10 is 62. And then so 62 is the right answer for the measure of angle AFE. All right? So again, we've set up an equation based on the two angles that they've given me. Solve that for x. Take the x, plug it right back in here. So x is 6. So I put 6 in its place. 12 times 6 minus 10 will leave me with 62. So 62 is the correct answer here. If you wanted to plug 6 in here, then you should be able to see that it's the same answer. 6 times 8 is 48. 48 plus 14 would be 62, and they match. So that's a way to double check it. This one happens to be number 1 on your quiz for today. So make a note of that. That's number 1. That's the first answer. You've got it. Okay? All right. Let's look at the next one. So on the next one, they give me AFE. So let's figure out where that is. AFE, that's the same angle. And the next one they give me is CFD. CFD. All right, so CFD, also the same one. And so these two, once again, are vertical angles. So just like in the last problem, I can go ahead and set them equal. So I want to set 4x minus 2 equal to 2x plus 8. So I'm going to set these two equal. Once again, x's come to one side, regular numbers come to the other side, so the 2x is going to come across. It'll change to minus. The 8 is staying put. The minus 2 is going to come across and join it as plus 2. And then now I can put the like terms together. 4x minus 2x is 2x. 8 plus 2 is 10. I'm ready now to divide by 2. I can get x equals 5, which of course is not the right answer in a multiple choice. 5 is going to be choice A. So make sure that you're answering the question. So I need to take it now and plug it back into CFD. CFD. So that'd be 2 times 5, which makes 10, and then 10 plus 8 would give me 18, and 18 is my correct answer. So once again, make sure in these problems, make sure that you ask yourself, okay, did I answer the question? All right, because don't put down X for the answer if they didn't ask you for X. So again, all this is based on the problem and the angles that they've given you. And from there, you will set up your equation. All right? Here's the next diagram that we have to look at here. And notice in the diagram, it tells me that ray, don't forget how to name these things, ray DB bisects angle ADC. So this ray, remember bisect means to cut in half, so this ray cuts this angle in half. Okay, this ray cuts this angle in half. And so what that means is, I know that these two angles, okay, they've got to be the same measure. They've got to be the same measure, which by the way, just like we have congruent marks for the segments, we have congruent marks for the angles. So if I put one mark here and one mark here, that means that those two angles have to be the same. Now, let's look and see what angles they've given me. ADB, ADB. So that's the top half. Then they've given me BDC. That's the bottom half, right? So that's the bottom half. And so here I've got my two halves, right? And so those two halves have got to be equal. So I've got 2x plus 13 is equal to 4x minus 3. And so from here, again, I want all my x's to one side, regular numbers to the other side. 2x minus 4x is equal to negative 3. I was bringing my 13 to the other side as a minus. Negative 2x is equal to negative 16. I divide both sides by negative 2. And now I've got my x is equal to 8. But once again, the question didn't ask me to solve for x. I've now got to take that 8 and plug it into ADB. All right? So I'll have 8 times 2, which is 16. Then I've got 16 plus 13, which makes 29. So 29 will be your correct answer there. So again, make sure that you look and see what angles they've given you. Use that to set up an equation, and then use that equation to go through, solve for x, and plug the x back in to give you the answer that they're asking you for. All right, one more that I want to make sure I take a look at here. I've got ADB, ADB, that's the top half, BDC, that's the bottom half, and I'm looking for ADC, the whole thing. All right, so again, they've given me the two halves. I'm going to set them equal again, which is 10x minus 15 is equal to 5x plus 10, okay? And then from there, I want all my x's over to one side. 10x minus 5x is equal to 10 plus 15. And so that'd be 5x is equal to 25. I can divide now both sides by 5, and I'll get my x is equal to 5. Now, they asked me for ADC. Now, ADC is not given to me as either one of these angles. So the question is, well, what do I plug into? Well, look at the angle. ADC is the whole thing. So if I can find the two halves and add them together, that's how I can get ADC. So I'll start by plugging into ADB, the top half. 5 times 10 is 50. 50 minus 15 is 35. So I know that top half is 35 degrees. The bottom half then should also be 35 degrees, because remember, bisect, cut in half. If you wanted to verify that, 5 times 5 is 25, plus 10 is 35. Now, how am I going to find ADC? ADC is the whole thing. Well, remember angle addition postulate? The big angle is equal to the sum of its parts. So what's 35 plus 35? 70. And then that is the correct answer for the measure of angle ADC. ADC. All right, you got your quiz waiting for you in Canvas, and I'll see you in class.